This week on the Trucking Risk and Insurance podcast, we have a very experienced and celebrated truck driver for the interview, Theresa DeSantis, a driver with more than 40 years experience. You got to hang out with us this week.
Welcome to the Trucking Risk and Insurance podcast.
Theresa, a truck driver of more than 40 years experience.
Wow.
Theresa, start off by doing a short introduction of yourself, perhaps the type of truck you drive, the type of freight you haul, and the state that you call home.
Theresa DeSantis, known as the Witch. I drive the Witch's Inn truck. It's a 1985 Peterbilt 359, 285-inch wheelbase, red and orange calendar truck back in 85. I pull a flatbed Conestoga. It's an east spread axle, 49.5 feet. And I haul machinery, steel, whatever will fit, it ships.
Cool.
What the hell? And congrats. I believe you are our first female truck driver on the podcast as well.
Yes, I'll take that. I believe that's true. Yes.
We've had lots of females, but in different roles.
Yes.
Johnny, you must have, because I don't know what the heck I know what a Peterbilt is, but I don't know all the different trucks and everything. Do you want to ask Theresa a couple of questions about her, especially 1985 part?
Well, yeah. All pre-emissions, pre-this, pre-that. So, no ELDs.
I was going to say no ELD.
Do paper logs. So, yeah. You know what? And it's funny because that's back from my era. I had an 83 Freightliner, an 82 Ford Cabover. So those are when trucks were trucks. There's no doubt about that. So, yeah. So let me ask you this, Theresa. Is this your truck or is this a company truck?
No, this is my truck. My husband and I bought it. We had a cab over Kenworth when we started, and we traded that in for this truck. So we teamed it. I got my license in 84, and we teamed this truck until 87, and then he gave it to me, and that's the only truck I know how to drive. I know the sound of it. I know the same stuff goes wrong with it. That's part of me.
Yeah. How many miles have you got on this old girl?
I keep saying 3.5 million. I've been saying that for 5 years now. I do have records of all the maintenance. So I should just go back and add up the miles.
Right.
I'm still saying 3.5 million.
Yeah, because I was going to say it won't tell you 3.5 million on that odometer. It's there's a digit or two that's going to be missing. So, but awesome. What kind of motor have you got in this thing and driveline?
I got a 3406. It's an industrial engine, so it's kind of like a C instead of a B.
Right.
I got 325 rears and an 18 speed.
18 speed. Is that Caterpillar white or yellow?
My first one was white, and we could not have. This one's orange. I painted orange to match the stripes on the truck. So it's orange and black. Yeah.
Well, and I think the most impressive thing here, and our audience needs to realize this, in today's day and age, here we got a young lady that's been driving this truck for quite a while, and it's got 18 gears in that thing. There's a lot of newcomers coming into this industry that, they panic. They see a stick sticking out of the floor, not sure what to do with this thing. And they got 3 pedals and go, what the heck do I do with those?
Yep. Well, and that's, sorry to say, but that's what's ruining the industry because they don't realize what they're hauling, like what it takes to actually stop a truck and pay attention instead of just put it in drive and go. I mean, we got to sit there and think about what gear we want and how fast we're going.
Yes. There's a lot of thought process in place now.
And climbing the mountains and everything else. 18 gears is a lot. I mean, I know, Johnny, you can drive a standard. I can drive a standard. I think the largest I ever got to was a 13 speed. I don't recall ever doing 18.
They're not much different. You
No.
can do if you can do 10, you can do them all. Just changes the shift pattern a little bit. So I at one time I had an 8 double L, and that had a U-shaped shift pattern, not an H shift pattern, which was a little bit different. But yeah, so tell us, Teresa, what got you into the trucking industry back a long time ago?
Well, I was dating my husband back in the early 80s, late 70s, and his family actually did trucking. His brother did trucking. So one day he said, "Hey, you want to go for a ride to New Jersey?" And I'm like, "New Jersey? Really?" I said, "Yeah, because my family and we went to the Cape for vacation, or Maine." So I'm like, "Yeah, I'll go to New Jersey." So I went with him, and I just fell in love with trucking, and my husband did it. So I'm like, I guess I'm signing up. And he said, "Okay, you're going for your license." And that was back in 84. And I passed, believe it or not. It took me a couple of tries, but I did pass. And I wasn't very good at it. So I sat by my husband from 84 till 87, learning
Yep.
how to drive.
Wow. And you'd mentioned you were running team there for a little bit.
Yep.
So
In
that's
that,
yeah.
or the
that,
cab over.
that was
Yeah.
a 3-year apprenticeship program. You said you
I
sat by your
needed 3
husband.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I needed 3 years.
Yeah. Wowzers. Good deal. So,
Yeah.
and still in it today. Here we are 40 years later, and you're still in it today.
I can't wait to go out in 2 weeks and
Yeah.
go sit behind the wheel and it's my peace.
Right.
And if I'm home, I'm either working on it or working in the house or yard work or something. At
Yep.
least when I'm in the truck after I'm loaded, I'm just relaxing.
Right. Right.
Well, you had mentioned you just spent several hours polishing the truck.
Yes, the truck, this truck gets taken apart, the wheels off, everything up on jack stands. We look at everything, I clean everything. And then the trailer's up on jack stands right now. And I'm polishing it and cleaning everything.
Wow. Labor of love.
Dedication.
Yes.
Well, that's
Well, that's how we find out if something's wrong. I mean,
Yep.
3 years ago, we took the steer tires and polished, and I found a spider crack in one of them.
Oh, wow.
So we got new steer tires, and I'm like,
Yep.
I just happened to look and said, "Hey, what's this crack? I don't remember marking my wheel." And my husband's like, "That's a cracked wheel. Go order some
Yep.
new ones."
Yep. Yep. Wow.
yeah. And how many drivers do that type of thorough inspection, Johnny?
I can count them on one hand.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Theresa not only knows how to drive it and inspect it and spot the errors and
Yep.
the defects. Like,
Yep.
damn, where's the truck driver? Now, there are some. I'm sure there's other
Yep.
drivers out
I'm
there that
sure.
can do it,
Yep. Yep.
not enough of them is
No.
my
No.
point.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, you'd mentioned earlier you're based out of the Arizona area where you like to spend the winter, so you're not having to do much traveling and enjoy life. Hauling steel on that Conestoga and machinery and whatnot. What are some of the lanes or areas that you prefer to run or don't run?
I don't like, well, California don't like me,
Yeah.
or my truck.
Yeah.
And I don't like the Northwest because it's all hills.
Right.
I kind of baby my truck, and then I leave here in May, and I stay northeast and down to Florida and Texas and up to Minnesota usually. I
Okay.
just run that
Yeah.
central area.
How long are you usually gone for at a time or a stretch?
I usually leave May and don't come home until November, the end of
Oh,
November.
really? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So you'll stay out and just keep trucking and not come back home very often.
Yeah, well, I got family up in Massachusetts. So if I go up there, I stay with
okay.
family
Yep.
and visit and everything.
Okay.
And I mean, one of my toolboxes on the trailer is actually all my clothing for,
Oh,
yep,
cool.
Planning
because there's not
ahead.
enough
That's
room. There's not
Yeah.
enough room
And still
in,
happily married, I take it?
yeah, yep, 40 years.
And this is
40
and this is how you have a happy marriage is you disappear for 9 months.
Yes,
So when you come back you can tolerate him again.
yes, and you can tolerate me. Yep.
Is your husband still driving then?
He just sold his truck this
Okay.
year.
Yeah.
And he's selling his trailer. He did it and he went sideways with some stuff and tried going to another company, didn't like it. So he finally said, I'm not doing it anymore. Because he
Cool.
did work in the office. He taught me how to
Okay.
drive. And
Sure.
in 93, we sold our company.
Mhm.
And we both went in the office for a couple years.
Right.
I'm not an office person. I
Right.
don't have that many patients. So I went back to driving and he stayed in the office till 2017. I think
Okay.
he finally retired.
Yeah. Cool.
there.
Cool.
And retirement's not calling your name yet.
Not yet. No. I don't know what I'm gonna do. He likes playing golf. He has a relationship with his old employer, so they keep him busy. I
Cool.
don't know. I don't know what I do.
Yep.
Yeah,
Well, I was going to say the bonus part is now you can take him for a ride once in a while.
Yeah, well, and we went together. Speaking of together, we went together in his truck. My trailer was getting worked on, so I jumped in his. It was a big sleeper. I
Yep.
mean, it was got the kitchen sink, the whole 9 yards. And his was a pack car, so it's very
Okay.
quiet. I mean,
Yep.
I didn't. Mine's very loud. I mean, I'd shift by the sound. I need sound to shift. And I'm
Yep.
like sitting there and he's like, you gotta shift. And I said, I can't hear anything.
Yep.
You gotta look at the tack. I said, well, I don't like your truck. I said, I don't drive like that. So eventually I got used to it, but he was in for an awakening.
uh,
Now we should let the audience know because I think this is cute. That your Peterbilt is a flat top sleeper, but it's known as a stand up for you.
It is because I'm 4'11", 4'11 and a half, whatever. And I can stand up in that sleeper or in the cab. It doesn't matter.
Perfect.
It's
You could
fine.
literally jump on the bed and not hit your head.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
I,
Oh gosh.
I'm impressed as hell that you leave in May and don't come home till November. That was
Yeah.
always way too much on the road for me. How
Yeah.
do you manage it?
Just as long as I'm busy, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm not good at sitting still more than a day.
Hmm.
I clean my truck with a 5-gallon bucket of water,
Hmm.
um, do my laundry, and that takes about a day, and I gotta go. I mean, unless I'm with family or friends that can keep me occupied, I go stir crazy.
Sure. Sure. Cool.
Uh, and have you had any challenges being a female driver over the last 40 years?
It's gotten better for us as for truck stops and showers and stuff like that
Eh,
on the on the
well,
north in the Northeast. You didn't get that,
Hmm.
oh, really? It was the Northeast that was the worst section.
and it still is. It actually is. It's not a lot of truck stops, not a lot of parking. Thank God I have a place up in Mass that I can park because there's no room. Nobody
Hmm.
wants you. They don't make arrangements for anything.
Hmm.
Well, and just the challenges of a female in what is was at least predominantly a male industry.
Hmm.
I got to think you've had a few things that you went, these idiots that I'm with.
Yeah. It still happens to this day, but a lot of stuff like backing into places when you show up at a customer. I've even had my truck out in the parking lot at a steel mill, and I was in there with all the other drivers sitting there waiting. And one of the guys, because I it's the Witch's Inn, has a
Yeah.
broom on it, and he comes over to all the drivers. He didn't know who was driving the truck, and he said, "Which one of you are going to teach me how to drive a broom?" And I stood up and said, "That would be me." And he didn't know what to say because so he just said, "Okay, door 7, could you back in?" And
Changes tune quick.
but yeah,
Oh,
backing up and being a petite woman and showing up is can be challenging. Not for,
Mhm.
not that I can't do it, but
Mhm.
they teach you differently.
Oh yeah, yeah, I can imagine.
yeah. And, yes, that's all I can say to that. I mean, uh, yes. Are
Well, I
there,
was going to say, I bet you gain a lot of respect though from your fellow drivers. When they see you roll in that old '85 Peterbilt, with an 18 speed, and put that thing right where it needs to go. I'm sure those boys are standing there with their eyes bulging out of their head, going, "Did you just see that? Holy wow!" That's
Well,
huge respect from your peers.
and I tell everybody, this is crazy, but I'd rather blindside back in somewhere than
Hmm.
back in on the good side. I don't know why. It just happens that I do a lot better blindsiding.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I get out no matter what. It doesn't
Yep.
matter. Good side,
Sure.
bad side. I always get out. I would never hit something. I'd rather get out 10 times and look like a
Sure.
fool for
Yep.
looking than hit something.
Well, well, the funny part is those 10 times you'll never look like a fool. It's that one time when you hit something, you are a
Yeah.
fool.
Yeah. And I mean, I watch guys, they never get out.
Yep.
Or I shouldn't say guys, drivers. It
Driver.
doesn't
Yes.
matter, lady, man, whatever.
Hmm.
They never get out. They just
Hmm.
back up till they hit something, I guess.
Hmm.
I don't know.
well, how many, have you had any crashes?
Yes. Yes, I've had one, two or three.
Hmm.
And were you involved or were they your fault?
One one of them was my fault.
Oh, I'm a little bit surprised to hear that, but
Yeah. Well,
you
but I was
know,
going to say over a 40-year career, that's pretty
yes.
damn good.
Yeah, and the one time was I was doing the roll off stuff and dropped the roll off down under a bridge and came up and I was on an incline. I looked both ways and then I started going and I was on such an incline that the car got in front of the truck and I
Mm.
never seen it.
Mm.
And I was
Hmm.
like pushing the car.
Yeah.
That happened another time, but the second one wasn't my fault.
Yep. Cool.
No,
Yeah.
that is an extremely good to be,
Hmm.
without swearing. That's a really good safety record, I think,
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
amount of
Yeah.
miles you've done.
Yeah.
No doubt, no doubt. Well, and I just go. So, what are your thoughts on what you're seeing in the industry today compared to what it was 30 years ago, at least? We won't say 40 because at that 40 mark, you were still learning as you're getting into it, whatnot. But you know, what's life like today, and not necessarily just for a woman, but even just from a driver's perspective with regards to technology, what we're seeing out there, congestion and stuff like that. If we
Um,
compared today with 30 years ago.
yeah, congestion, it is a lot busier, a lot more distracted drivers with technology. Even from a driver's side, the technology, you put it in drive, you step on the gas or diesel or fuel, and you're going. I mean, you gotta kind of put your foot down and pay attention. And you see a lot of guys drive by, and I don't know, maybe it's comfortable that way in those trucks to have your foot up and driving, but I mean, both my feet are on the floor.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Well,
I was going to say that's where the pedals are, and if I need to make an evasive maneuver or something, I want my feet on the floor.
Yeah,
So
you got to be able to react and not
yes,
be like
yes,
trying to get your foot out of the window
yeah,
or
yeah,
show off your phone from watching a movie or something like that.
right,
I mean,
right.
you got to be aware of your surroundings, and I find there's a lack of with drivers now.
Yep. Yeah.
there's,
I just did a drivers meeting this past weekend, and one of the areas that we talked about was perception and reaction time. And we
Mhm.
talked about how your brain, it takes your brain half a second to perceive what's about to happen, and then it takes your body another half second to react. And what's really interesting is if your feet are up on the dash, it's going to take you a lot more than half a second to react now.
Yeah,
The half second reaction time is in the best conditions possible where your feet are flat on the floor or actually on the pedals already.
yeah, yeah. No, and you're always looking ahead and
Hmm.
seeing what's going on and watching your mirrors, and you go by guys, they got curtains in the window, and I'm like, are you ashamed of driving that truck? I mean,
Yeah,
take the curtain down and pay attention.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
you could drive whatever truck you want. You got to be able to see your mirrors.
yes.
yeah. The- I just believe in many areas the quality of driver today, I'm not sure it is what it used to
Mhm.
be for the
Agreed.
majority of our drivers.
Yeah, and it's not. And
Hmm.
and unfortunately, I hit the 60 mark, so a lot of us older drivers are getting out of it, and the rates this year is going to be bad. The rates have come
Yes.
down quite a bit. Everybody's cutting rates,
Yeah,
and everything's gone up. I mean, insurance, tires, maintenance, just having a person
yeah.
work on your truck is $150 an hour.
Hmm. Hmm. Well, not to mention trying to pay yourself, as an owner operator, it's a matter of I
Mhm.
still got to pay myself something to operate this piece of equipment. So,
Yeah, 80 cents for, well, my truck is more than 80 cents a mile for fuel because
mhm,
she only gets 5.5 miles to a gallon. But
right.
you got that and 30 cents for insurance. I mean, and that's just basics. That's,
Hmm.
you need 10 cents a mile for maintenance and everything else. And there's not much out left
No,
for a driver or a payment.
right.
Yeah. No. Wow. Payment would be a different thing. Oh my God. Uh,
I know.
at the price of trucks today,
Yeah,
whether it's
yeah,
used or new, it just,
yeah.
as you said, everything has gone up. And freight
Yeah,
rates, we are in a freight recession, I believe.
Hmm. Hmm.
yes,
You know,
yes.
um, I don't know why it hasn't tipped our economies into a recession, but certainly freight rates suck at the moment, to be
Hmm. Hmm.
fair.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
no, they do. I mean, I'm going to find out for the first time in May when I go out how bad it is. I mean,
Yeah.
that might determine whether I'm working or not.
Yeah.
Sure. Oh, big time. Big time. Yeah.
Uh,
I'm not going to take my savings to sit behind the wheel because I like it. I mean, I have to have some kind of moral that you can't do
Mhm.
that.
Well, and that makes smart business sense, right? Because I think unfortunately we're seeing too many people that are going, well, I got to stay in it. It'll turn around. It'll turn around. Well, no, we can't work on that basis. We got to go, am I making any money on it? Am I at least breaking even on this?
Yeah, you got to break even, at least pay for your hard costs.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, and something for you.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
there's got to be a decent wage, I think, for drivers.
Mhm.
Or else, how, you mentioned the older age of drivers. how are we going to attract any new ones to the
Hmm.
industry if we don't compensate the existing ones fairly?
Hmm.
Yep. I mean,
You know,
everybody gets raises. I mean, company guys, I mean, they're getting like 60 cents a mile now or
Hmm.
better. I
Hmm.
mean, add that to the cost that I just mentioned.
Yep.
yep,
Yep.
I mean, you freight should be at like 3.50, $4 a mile.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
yep,
I'll tell a little tale here. In the late 90s,
Mhm.
early 2000s, prior to me getting out of the industry, um, our expenses were averaging us about $1.80 to $1.90 a mile for truck,
Mhm.
trailer, insurance, fuel, all that good stuff. And now this would be Canadian dollars, but still relevant. So about $1.80 to $1.90 in expenses, and our freight rates we were getting were over $3 a mile, for our open deck freight. And
Yeah.
we thought we were doing pretty good back then. And sadly, we're seeing that the cost of operating this truck is pushing the $3 a mile mark, and freight rates are under $3, $2.50 on average. So yeah, it's quite upside down compared to what it was 30 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, I'm hearing from drivers right now. It's $1.50. That some of this stuff is $1.50. I mean,
Mhm.
I go empty before I take something for $1.50. What
Yep.
are you
Yep.
doing?
Yeah. Because you're not helping the market any, are you?
No, no. And you're saying, okay, I'll just do it this one time. No, they're going to want that forever.
Hmm. Hmm.
yep. As we
Yeah.
wrap this up, Teresa, what would you encourage somebody to join and get their truck driver's license?
Um, I probably, I probably hold off till after the election.
Oh,
Sorry, I'd wait
yeah.
till after the
Hey,
election.
Yep. Yep.
Um, I also do have to add that Shell Rotella is the one who like introduced me to all these podcasts and
Oh,
stuff.
cool.
right.
Cool.
I
Good.
and I've won 2 shows with them.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
I've been using their product since 1987 in this truck.
Wow. That's
See,
So
awesome. That's an accolade to that alone, especially for the witches in.
yeah,
and I'll link
Yep.
to a another podcast episode that we did. Geez, just a couple of months ago, John,
Yeah.
where
Yep.
we
Yep.
had the
We had
VP
Shell
from
Rotella.
Shell
Yep.
on talking about
mhm,
their products and everything. And damn, there's a lot to know about oil. But
Hmm.
Shell Rotella
Hmm.
is a great, promoter of our industry. And
yes,
you said you might be going to a truck show or two.
yes. I'm trying to make their truck show. I have not signed up yet, so I have to make sure they have room for me. Um, it's in Dallas, May 30th. It's
So
at the Speedway over Fort Worth. And
right.
then the other one I might think about is Rantoul, Illinois.
So if
Mm.
somebody makes it to the Dallas Shell Rotilla truck show, they can look
Mhm.
up the witch, right?
The witch, yes, she'll be there on her broom. No,
Now,
no.
I had to pull it up because I couldn't help but not. So I pulled it up. So this truck is red with orange stripes.
Yeah, that was a calendar truck in '85. Yep.
I see that it looks like it was in. Did you win at the Matt's Truck Show in 2018?
Yep.
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 So cool. This is a gorgeous truck. This is a gorgeous truck, and you've got some airbrushing across the back of this truck and whatnot. This look good looking truck here, trailer, whatnot.
Thank you.
It,
Thank you.
Yeah.
That trailer, that's what well, no, 2018. No, that was my other trailer. But this one's similar. Um,
Yep.
it's an East, and that's what I'm polishing. I do the
Okay.
rails and the cross members. So
Cool.
that's my task.
that's
I,
that's a lot of work. I'd rather be a
yeah.
truck driver.
Yeah. I love the tag she's got on here. It says, "My broom is broken, so I have to drive this."
Yeah. And on the back of the tarp, it says, watch what you wish for.
Oh,
Oh,
Theresa
wow.
DeSantis, thank you so much for coming on the Trucking Risk and Insurance podcast. I'll put links
Yes.
to
You.
your pictures down below. So for those
Mhm.
who want to see what the truck looks like, uh,
Gorgeous truck.
click on the links down below. And Johnny's saying it's a gorgeous truck. Say it one more
Yes.
time.
Yes. Gorgeous truck.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's one of those trucks that I can understand why you keep driving it, because it's probably just people just probably compliment you left, right, and center every time they see this thing.
Well, and I appreciate it because I put a lot of work into her.
I bet. So, well, and especially being in itself, she's almost 40 years old alone. So that's a huge accolade for you maintaining it and keeping it up.
Well, thank you. Thank you. We appreciate that.
Yep.
And thanks, Teresa, for coming on. And a huge shout out to Theresa DeSantis, a truck driver, owner, operator of 40 years of experience. Teresa, thanks so much for coming on the Trucking Risk and Insurance podcast. All right, that's it for this week. Johnny and I thank you so much. See you next week.